بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم.
Assalamu alaikum.
أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجه الكريم. Is your sound ready yet? Still no sound? I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties with the reader's microphone. Please be patient with us. Assalamu alaikum. Is your microphone working? Allah. As we wait for the reader to have fixed the technical difficulties with her microphone, I want to ask you something. I wanted to always have some scattered thoughts in my mind in case we can't follow our program. Would anyone be able to tell me, so this is test time, would y'all like to take a quick quiz? Microphone working? No? Oh, is your microphone working? I'm sorry.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello?
Assalamu alaikum.
Sound? No? I'm talking to the reader. We're still having problems. No one wants to take tests? What the heck? What kind of students is this? You're supposed to say, yes, bring it. I study all my notes. I'm always ready for a test. That's what you're supposed to say. Oh, you can hear the reader and I can't. All right, let me go out. Assalamu alaikum. Reader, can you hear me?
Wa alaikum assalam. Can you hear me?
You said they can hear the reader, but I can't.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sorry, something is not right.
I think I can hear me when I listen on YouTube. So maybe.
I don't know what's been wrong. I don't know what's happening here. Allah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me now? Can I hear you?
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, okay. My microphone switched. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I had microphone. I thought I was the issue. All right, we're clear. We can hear each other now, right? You can hear me and I can hear you, right?
Alhamdulillah.
All right. After wasting 5 minutes of the people's time, please forgive me. I'm sorry. My mic, it was my fault. My audio switched somehow, some way. Alhamdulillah. So quickly, who would tell me who is the famous commentator on the Ihyaa of Imam al-Ghazali? The most famous commentator on the Ihyaa of Imam al-Ghazali, who is it? Fil iyada ifada, we repeat, we benefit. Who is the most famous commentator on the Ihya of Imam al-Ghazali? So that's my question. Feel free to answer. And when did he die? Imam al-Nawawi. No. Imam al-Nawawi didn't explain the Ihya. Come on. There's a lot of y'all in here. Okay, Abdul Rahim. Good. Murtada al-Zabidi. When did Murtada al-Zabidi die? When did he die? When did he die? All right, Farouk, since you see Mom and I see, good morning, Miss Joanne. Farouk, could you answer some questions, please? When did Murtada al-Zabidi die? What century? Even if you don't have the year, what century? No one? Look through your notes. Not 8th century. Look through your notes. You should be writing. Remember, we said we should write the knowledge. The way you tie and write to 1205, Abdurrahim, great. Tayyib. And where was he mainly based? Where was his base? Where his fame spread and he did most of his teaching. Where was it at? In what country? So you should be writing these notes. To me, this line of questioning indicates a lot for us. Egypt, Al-Azhar. All right. So Sorry. That's a little paper. All right. I want all of you to record that information, right? Because he's very significant in our study of the Ihyaa. For multiple reasons, he's important. But I want you to at least get this much information down. In his time, which is the beginning of the 13th century, he was among the most influential scholars in general and scholars of hadith in particular in the world. I repeat, in his time, which is the beginning of the 13th century, right? 12th, 13th century. He was among the most important scholars in the world. Remember, he's in Egypt. He's at Al-Azhar. And particularly in hadith, he is, in his time, the most famous among the great hadith scholars in his time. So his reputation in his time was similar to the reputation of Imam Nawawi in their time, or Al-Bukhari and Muslim in their time. That's significant in his time. He was a Hafidh of hadith. And a Hafidh of hadith means, in terms of an idea of his amount of knowledge in hadith, he memorized over 100,000 hadith with their chains of narration. Very important. That's like a master. And the most important chains, not all of them, but the most significant and strong chains in the Islamic world go through his route. That's how significant he is. When we talk about chains of narration, right? Please, please, please record this information I'm giving to you. Write it down. It's very important. When we study our chains of narration back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, among the most strongest chains in the world that exists, they go through his route. Several reasons for that. And among them, of course, he was a great scholar, a profound memory, astonishing memory. Also, he was in Al-Azhar, which is kind of significant. And may Allah return Azhar to Azhar when Al-Azhar was Al-Azhar. Please say Ameen. May Allah return Al-Azhar to Al-Azhar when Al-Azhar was Al-Azhar. That's an important dua, and it's very significant, right? May Allah make it so. But he was a sheikh at Al Azhar when Al Azhar was Al Azhar. And in his time, Al Azhar was the Kaaba of Islamic knowledge in the world. In his time, before that, and even a little after that, Al Azhar was the Kaaba of Islamic knowledge in the world. So, like everyone, when they want to pray, we go to Mecca to pray at Al Kaaba for worship. We go to Al Kaaba in Mecca. When people wanted knowledge in that time, they went to Al Azhar because the scholars that taught there were a focal point of learning, like the Kaaba was a focal point in making salat, a direction that you face. I don't know if you realize how significant such a statement is, right? That's a significant statement. To no one would go because they would go through Egypt to go to Hajj, right? And they would stop at the door of Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi, and his lessons would be filled with no space. And what is unique about his memory, besides in the narrative, he said about himself, he said, there is no book on the face of the earth and no scholar on the face of the earth except that I have an unbroken chain to that book or to that scholar. What a statement. Look what he said. There is no book, and this is him talking, Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi, on the face of the earth or a scholar, religious scholar, except that I have an unbroken chain to that book or that scholar. That's a big statement. And that is because where he was at and who he was. So through his route, you can reach everything. So for instance, if you go to Sayyidina al-Imam al-Haddad, the students of Imam al-Haddad were in Egypt, and they studied from Sheikh Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi. The shuyukh of the Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio from Africa, they were the students of Sheikh Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi. So you go up, you go down in Mecca, India, everywhere around the world, everyone comes and meet up, coming down and going up. And he's in the center of that, Sheikh Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi. He was a master of Arabic language, a master of fiqh, a master of hadith, a real scholar. And in his time, those scholars were studying tens of Islamic sciences of types. Real scholars, right? Real scholars. But there's something they said about him. And this was in praising his memory, but also show you what kind of person he was. People would come from all over the Islamic world to Al-Azhar, to Egypt, to relate from Imam Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi. And especially during the Hajj season, before they're on their way to Hajj and on their way back, they would pass through Egypt to sit with him, specifically to go see Imam Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi and sit in his sessions. Right? And there was a unique quality about him that he would memorize the name of all the students who came to see him, where they are from, the news of their environment, the sheikhs and scholars of their environment from all over the world. In the sessions that they were filled, and he would get to know from every place all the people who took from him. And then that following year, different people would come on their way to Hajj, and he would remember who they were, ask them about the people and the scholars and who was sick, and make dua from all around the world. And they said he would never forget none of them. He wouldn't forget. And the people from the place, they were from there, they wouldn't know more of the place than him. And he never went there. Just by him talking to the people who would visit him. So that means he was not disconnected from people. He was connected to the point that, is he from my land? Right? That's how he was. That's Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi. And this type of person, that's why I said he's the most famous commentary on the Ihyaa, is he wrote a 14-volume commentary on the Ihyaa of Imam al-Ghazali, which is the most famous commentary on the Ihyaa. It's half Sadat al-Muttaqeen, right? It's half Sadat al-Muttaqeen, right? It is a gift for the noble, pious people by way of explaining the Ihya Ulumuddin, the revival of the religious sciences. Why am I mentioning him? Because all of what we're discussing in the Ihya, such a great scholar explained, expounded, and approved of it, who had connections with scholars all over the world, and you could see what it was like before the advent of this modern innovation that we have from Arabia. You get an idea of what Islamic scholarship was like. At its height, you get to see it. And when you benefit, and I'm going to share with you, and I do, a lot of the things I'm sharing with you is from this commentary. You'll get to see how Muslim scholars understood the deen prior to this modern reinterpretation of our tradition and our religion. And from that, you can go back and you can learn from it and apply it to our time. And one of the things, despite all of that vast knowledge he had as an ocean, his big concern was the spiritual development of Muslims. How to embody the meanings of revelation by mind, body, and soul. How to embody the meanings of revelation by mind, body, and soul. And that's missing today. It's missing. Big time. So we need to have a look to what Islam used to look like before the invasion of the non-believers and their assistance towards innovators in the religion. What did our deen look like? What was it before this? Now, that's taking a center. If you take that center and you spread out around the world, you'll really clearly get to see that, hey, we've been had. This is not what we need. Because I told you, all of the chains of narration go through him. Any major chain goes through him. And they spread like that all around the world. It is something to really think about, right? And then, this is the importance of isnad, really, not just names, right? Sometimes when someone thinks, I have a chain of narration, and they're just talking about names. Do you know these people? Do you know about them? Do you know their significance in their time? That's the real importance of a chain of narration. To make sure you really are connected, not just by name to name to name, actually in meanings and realities as well. All of this is connected. It's very important. So let me pause there with that thought. And Rita, if we can have at least some of our section read. I'm sorry. But I thought this was very important because I'm going to expand on it. So I wanted you to have it. Go ahead, inshallah. Let us start. What page are we on? Let's read some.
Page 12.
Oh, wait, page.
Unity of Allah Ta'ala.
Tawheed. Let's recite Al-Fatiha to the soul of Sayyidina Imam Al-Ghazali. Al-Fatiha.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, Unity of Allah Ta'ala, Tawheed. This term is nowadays used to designate theology, kalam, knowledge of the act of disputation, and the ability to vaunt in this by asking too many questions and raising points of doubt. Some groups given to this have even called themselves the folk of justice and unity, Tawheed, and theologians have become known as the scholars of Tawheed.
And this is an indication, because we're talking about the time of Imam Al-Ghazali. And at the time of Imam Al-Ghazali, one of the groups before him were Al-Mu'tazila. So Al-Mu'tazila, their traces were still available towards coming to an end the time of Imam Al-Ghazali. And Imam Al-Ghazali was like, he was the one who finished their ideas.
This is despite the fact that all that is particular to this act was unknown in the time of the first generation of Muslims. In fact, they severely rebuked anyone who opened the door of disputation or argumentation. As for that which the Quran contains in
Here,
terms,
a point that we should keep in mind for us, we do need, in terms of simplicity of religious expression, to return to the way of as-salaf in that. No doubt about it. As-salaf, the early generations, the companions, the followers of the companions, and the followers of the followers, their deen was simple. It was simple. And the simplicity of their deen was such to the extent that they only got involved with what they needed to get involved with on their journey to a successful passage to the hereafter. That's it. And in our time, we need that type of mentality. What do I need to be a winner on the day of judgment? Let me know that. Once I get that good, if I can add some extra, I will. But let me get the basics to make me a winner on the day of judgment. Right? That's the way of the Salaf. What is the way of the Salaf? To take from the world what is necessary for a successful journey towards the hereafter. I'll repeat that. The way of the Salaf, as Salaf, those early three generations, is to take from the world what is necessary for a successful journey to the hereafter. That's their way. And that's in everything. So that's why you have in their time such concepts as zuhud, al-wara, al-qana'a, al-tawakkul, al-thika billah. Right? All those concepts were dominant among the Salaf. Why? Because you need all of those things as zuhud, detachment from the world, al-wara, scrupulousness, al-qana'a, contentment, at-tawakkul, reliance on Allah, al-thika billah, confidence in Allah. This was their way, the way of the Salaf. Because they realized that this world is not the real abode. It is a passing stage to an everlasting abode. And we do need those aspects to return to our religious reality. Because truly speaking, we don't have time for much more anyway. Truly speaking, we don't have, thank you, Khadijah. We don't have much time for more. So that simplistic living, taking from the world what is necessary for a successful journey to the hereafter, among all the sciences that Imam Ghazali said, whether they are religious sciences, Shari sciences, or worldly sciences. What do I need from that? To make a successful journey to the hereafter. That's all I'm taking. I'm not going to be overburdened with stuff that I don't need. What do I need? Please, please, please tell me what I need. Once I figure what I need, then, excuse me, let me travel. And then I'll add if I need some extra stuff or if I have room for more luggage. You know, one of the things we learn, I guess you've gathered by now, and I'm a book lover, right? I love books, right? Of all my property, my biggest property is religious books. It's my biggest property. And oftentimes, because I haven't been overseas in a long, long time, right? My life's changed. I can't go, right? So I'm always having students bring books, or people who's traveling bring books back. Go here, do this, go see this person, right? And one of the things that happens a lot is the books I be trying to get, I'm trying to get people to bring back, they're they too heavy. They're too heavy. So a person can't carry them. Like, I don't have enough weight, I can't get it on the plane. I only can take one or two. And if you look at that from another side, is that's in the life. We only can carry so much weight. Don't weigh yourself down with extra. So you start to, when you get on that plane, you only can have 23 kilograms. If the books is 10 kilograms, bro, I can't help you. All right, could you carry 5? Right? But it teaches you about life. And that's how the Salaf were. They only carried what they need. They weren't overweight. Figuratively, they weren't overweight. So for us, we have to figure what is that necessary amount of knowledge and practice that we need on our journey, and don't carry more. Now, and that is the way of the Salaf. You return, and I'm going to talk about that more. So when we start to read about the scholars of the Salaf, you'll see that, right? You'll see that that's how they were. Not just rhetoric, what Imam al-Ghazali is talking about, argumentation and dispute and claims and that wasn't the Salaf. The Salaf, they were people who were concerned from the Akhirah. And here what they're saying, like this. Sacrifice from your world for the benefit of your Akhirah, like the people of the world sacrifice their akhirah for the benefit of their world. Wow, that's heavy. They say, and this was their spirit, their state spoke this, the state of as-Salaf. Take sacrifice from your world for your akhirah, for the success of your akhirah, just like the people of the world sacrifice their akhirah for the success of their world, their dunya. Can someone write that for me? Sacrifice your worldly life for the success of your hereafter, just like the people of the world sacrifice their hereafter for the success of their world. When you take that saying and you look at the life of as-Salaf, the companions, the followers of the companions, the followers of the followers, you'll see that is a vivid picture of their life. That is an explicit picture of their life. You want to know how to follow the Salaf? That's how you follow them. And Imam al-Ghazali is mentioned here the way you don't follow them. Now look at that picture and then look at our practice and our claim of being on the way of the Salaf. Go ahead.
As for that which the Quran contains in terms of evident proofs which people's minds can easily and instantly comprehend, these were known to all. Moreover, knowledge of the Quran was everything there was to know. Tawheed used to mean to them something else, which most speculative theologians did not understand, or if they did not understand it, they did not translate it into a state of being. They
Stop.
understood.
Pause there. We'll pause there. Tawheed at Tawheed for the Salaf is expressed clearly in the words of Junaid al-Baghdadi. Junaid al-Baghdadi, he was among the great knowers of Allah at the end of the 3rd century Hijrah. So he was at the end. He died, I think, 298. Right? Imam Junaid al-Baghdadi, Sayyidina al-Imam Junaid al-Baghdadi, he explained at Tawheed what Imam al-Ghazali said. He said, التوحيد إفراد القديم من المحدث. التوحيد, divine oneness. What is it in reality? It is to distinguish the one who has no beginning, meaning Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, from the created event, everything other than Allah. When you distinguish Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala from his creation by way of his attributes and his actions and his names and in his reality, from every created thing, you've understood Tawheed. And then when you understand a Tawheed, in terms of implementation, you approach the world like that. That's why they said in the Quran, when it speaks of the purpose of our creation, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, meaning we only created the jinn and the humans for worship. They said really what it means is for ma'rifah, to know Allah. And when you realize that the whole affair is about Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, your activity in the world will be much different. So you have a life of Tawheed. And if you have a life of Tawheed, you have a happy life. If you have a life of Tawheed, you have a happy life. Because you're not connected to means. You're connected to the creator of means. And when you're connected to the creator of means are always at your disposal. Allahu Akbar. When you're connected to the creator of means are always at your disposal. And there is a higher level of that which came to my mind, but I won't utter it. There's another level when that becomes a reality in your life. Lose yourself by being immersed in the reality of existence. And the reality of existence is kullu shay'in halikun illa wajha, that everything is going to perish except Allah's reality. So lose yourself in that reality. And everything that exists is a cause or a means of increasing you in that reality. They are all signs. And the Quran is a book that guides you to that, to those signs. They're all signs for you. They're all signs. Everything is a sign. As the knowers of Allah said, How can one deny that Allah is Al-Wahid, the one, when in everything there is a sign that points to that? How are you going to deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when in everything there is a sign that He is Al-Wahid, the one who has no partner in His dominion? Subhanallah. Everything is a sign. But you need to reflect on the Quran and think about it. And then you'll understand Tawheed. Because the Quran is teaching us in all of its lessons a Tawheed. It's the interpretation of a Tawheed. And that's it. Tayyib, inshallah, may Allah reward you. Today is Monday. What is happening? Monday's off day, right? We don't have anything Monday. Oh, Sheikh Waleed and myself, if I'm free, discussing our deen. It's getting overwhelming. Subhanallah. So either both of us will be joining, and or he will be doing it himself. Can I give our brothers some advice? Our brothers, help the women, help your wives, especially those with children, right? Help them. Sometimes you go do the chores. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to do the chores around the house, right? He used to be an aid to the wife in his houses, right? And that is a part of worship, service, worshipful service. Be useful around the home. Don't be like a king with servants. Be a servant to your queen. Work on it. It may not be the easiest thing, but work on it, right? Because our women, they sacrifice a lot of themselves for us. So do your part, right? Do your part. With a good intention, inshallah, Allah will reward you greatly. Even if sometimes they may complain, sometimes they may give you a hard time, consider all of the good things they do for you and reciprocate that to the best of your ability. Reciprocate that good that they give towards you. All right, barakallahu bikum. Inshallah, we'll see you tonight. I don't even know what time it is because the time changed. After Maghrib sometime, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock, I think. Maybe 5:30. I don't know. I got to find, because our time changed and Sheikh Wali's time is enough, and so I'm kind of lost, but the time changes. Put your, what you call it, your notifications on, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.